Let's get into a little bit about Brazil, where you are and where our childrens have been born, and one of my favorite countries in the world. Um, how have you seen having a child in Brazil affected your relationship with Brazilians or people who have an affinity for Brazil?
Boy, there's a lot to unpack there. And I'll just start by saying that if I had not chosen to give birth to my second child here in Brazil, I would not have known Brazil. Ultimately, I moved here and I live here pretty much 100% of the year. And had I not taken that choice, this wouldn't have been an option for me. And so that just goes to show if you keep your mind open, you don't know where your life is going to be, but sometimes you're pleasantly surprised by where you end up. With Brazil, not that I've been here for, I want to say coming up on a year and a half, it's been absolutely phenomenal. And transparently for the whole audience, our original reason for coming here and giving birth was really focused around how can I set my kids up for success. I wasn't expecting a lot in Brazil, but the longer that we stayed, the longer we can see ourselves living here. And now we made that happen. Because out of all the different categories of what we think is important for our life, Brazil checks pretty much everything. It's easier for me to count on one hand the things that Brazil isn't as good as US, where we were living before, and the rest are just all benefits, right? I never want to paint the picture that any country is perfect because no country is. So you want to weigh your options. And for us, it's actually kind of a no brainer looking at how, people say Latin American countries are very family oriented, very friendly. I think Brazil takes it up to another level. You can have a conversation with a stranger on the street, and then in that 20 minutes, you get invited over for some barbecue. You talk about kids, and then you just have regular play dates between your kids. And you look at the environment and the culture here of how people look at kids. Where else would I want my kids to grow up other than this environment? So that it made it really easy for us.
I find that Brazil has to be probably, I'd say it's probably the most warm culture out of any that I've seen in the world. Like I'm legit thinking if there is a more friendly, outgoing, I don't I can't think of any. I would probably put Brazil as the most friendly place in the world. What do you think?
I think so as well. I haven't been to 100 countries. I probably hit up 30, something like that. And I can't even find another one. But I'll say, like, even if you don't believe me, where we are is Florianópolis, and it's an island with 42 named beaches, sunshine, and there's a lot of nature for you to explore. It's hard being depressed and angry all the time in this nice weather and being so close to the beach. So I would invite anybody considering, Brazil, visit first, see what you think about it, check it out, and don't take our word for it. Check it out for yourself. And if it's the right place, you might end up falling in love.
Brazil's an interesting one because there was a movie that came out in the 90s. I'm sure it was the 90s called City of God. And I remember watching that, and it was about the favelas in, I think it was in Rio. And it just gave Brazil a very bad look. And I think that so many people from our generation watch that movie, and that's all that they see of Brazil. And actually, Brazil is a huge country with so much going on and so many different enclaves. And you mentioned Florianopolis, a place where I've spent a lot of time, which has to be one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth. I swear the water just sparkles there. Like you can be downtown and looking out at the ocean, and the water is just made of diamonds. It's just unbelievable. And you can walk one of those beaches, even in the middle of winter where it's like 10 degrees Celsius or something, and it's cool outside, and you've got a winter jacket on, and you're walking down the beach, and it's just so gorgeous. And I remember going for walks there with my wife after our child was born, our second child was born, and I don't think there was many times in my life that I was as happy as I was right then and there. I mean, it was just unbelievable. We had such a good group of friends there, people who I still speak to, and even people who ended up joining the Expat Money team. I still are now working with me years later. But there are some really, really, really special places in Brazil.
100%. And now that I've been here, even just a year and a half, you kind of have different choices of beaches too. Maybe the audience will label me as a beach snob, but I have favorites for when I want a calm beach, or when my kids want to just dig sand, or when I want to hit the waves for some surfing lessons. And you actually get a choice. And but coming back on topic though, for parents considering Brazil, like yes, the lifestyle is great. Yes, the people is great. Yes, the food is phenomenal, especially if you like barbecue. All that is great, but what does it do for your child and your family? Being such a family-oriented place, if your child is born here, they are 100% Brazilian citizens, and the parents immediately qualify for permanent residence. And that gets you a gateway into Latin America, but living in Brazil for as long as you want. And for medical, on the medical side, a lot of people are concerned coming to these countries that we help people in is what's that level of healthcare? And what I can tell you, and as Mikkel will for sure be able to tell you as well, we're not trying to find the cheapest hospital with the cheapest doctor to get this thing done at the cheapest price. That's never going to be the case. I would not put my wife through that. And I think any man, this gets a little bit political, but this is just my opinion, so I guess you can hate me for it, but I think any man would not want to put their wife through labor with the cheapest price and the roughest conditions.
I don't know how that's political. I think that's a pretty blanket statement. I mean, I don't, I wouldn't worry about offending anyone with a statement like that.
With the way that the world is. But yes, I would never want to put my wife through that. And here in Brazil, you can go everything private. The doctors are Western trained. They speak English. And in fact, we have a Rolodex of people that help us and our clients. I'm actually, in fact, neighbors and good friends with the doctor that helped deliver my second daughter.
And my first boy. He delivered my first boy as well.
See, there we go. And we didn't deliver them in shacks. We delivered them in a proper private hospital with trained nurses, and the doctor, he showed up, before we did. I think it was the same for you. And he's with my wife the whole entire time during labor. He didn't run out to take care of like 6 other women giving birth. None of this. It's all private.
The doctor met us in the parking lot, carried the bags inside. We didn't even register for the hospital. We went upstairs. She gave birth. And then after the baby was born, then I went downstairs later on and registered and everything like that. And he was with us the whole time, whether it was going to be an hour or 24 hours, the doctor was going to be there with us the entire time. So like super dedicated.
Super dedicated. And even financially, I think for us, it netted out to be less than what we would have done in the US, even with insurance. So that for anybody watching, like level of budget, you're getting significantly better care for much, much less.
And 100%. I think even if you start taking in your accommodation and airfare and stuff like that, I think you're still going to come out at a comparable price, and you get a vacation and you're getting the passport. On the note of the passport, the Brazilian passport has an extremely strong travel document, one that I think most people don't realize how strong it is. They seem to imagine that this is a poor travel document. And in reality, it's actually very, very strong. It has visa-free access to the Schengen zone, to most places you would want to go in the world. You can travel on that Brazilian passport, and it's seen in a friendly way. It's not like has negative connotations to it like some citizenships out there. So if you were to go out there and purchase a comparable passport, you would probably be paying, I don't know, $500,000 to $1 million anywhere else to buy that passport. But with this, you go on vacation, you get to have a cool cultural experience and an adventure with your family. And the passport is quote unquote free, because of the legal system there. That, by the way, everything we're describing is completely legal. There is nothing in the black zone or gray zone of this. This is all whitelisted. It's all at the constitutional level. We did all the research on these things. And it's not just anecdotally, like, Mike, your family's been through it. Me and my family's been through it, and we're helping other families through it in Brazil as well.
Exactly. The 100% success rate is something that our clients take to the bank. We never want to jeopardize and go into any legal gray zone. So all the countries that we help people in, it's 100% legal. It will 100% happen. and we can help with the entire procedure. Really, at the end of the day, it's the logistics and the legal paperwork that we want to offload from all of our clients. And coming back to Brazil for a minute, and I'm sure you've coached your clients through this too, it's when you look at passports, we also want to look at what does it open up for you. Especially if you're coming from a Western country, it's like, great, you have a really nice travel document, visa free to a lot of countries, but does that actually allow you to live and work in Latin America, in Europe? So with the Brazilian passport in general, what it opens up is the ability to live and work in any of the MERCOSUR countries in Latin America, plus the 6 Portuguese-speaking countries, including Portugal. So if you look at your portfolio, can one of the passports allow you to achieve that? And I think there's very few outside of the Brazilian passport that allows you to achieve that, living in Europe and living in Latin America.
And on the Mercosur, Panama has just joined Mercosur as well. So that'll be interesting to see the dynamic between those countries as well. So it's leaving just the southern cone of South America, and it's now the Mercosur is growing. So it's like this little mini EU in Latin America that's getting traction. So it's pretty exciting too.
Yeah, and this is options. We don't know how Mercosur is going to grow, but I'm sure the countries want to expand and strive for more economic advantages. And now I get to live in, Panama. Once I acquire my Brazilian citizenship, I can essentially go be a resident in Panama now. That's an additional option I wasn't counting on. But hey, Panama is a really nice country. A lot of people want to go there, and I kind of just got it for free.